My poem is Ticklish Tom by Shel Silverstein, or however you say it. Anyway. Did you hear about Ticklish Tom? He got tickled by his mom. Wiggled and giggled and fell on the floor, laughed and rolled right out of the door. All the way to school, and then he got tickled by his friends. Laughed till he fell off his stool, laughed and rolled right out of school. Down the stairs and finally stopped till he got tickled by a cop. And all the more that he kept giggling, all the more folks kept tickling. He shrieked and screamed and rolled around, laughed his way right out of town. Through the country, down the road, he got tickled by a toad. Past the mountains, across the plain, tickled by the falling rain, tickled by the soft brown grass, tickled by the clouds that passed. Giggling and rolling on his back, he rolled on the railroad track. Rumble, rumble, whistle, roar, roar. Tom ain't ticklish anymore. This poem appealed to me because it was really happy in the beginning. It was all about like tickling people, and that's always like laughter. And then suddenly in the end, he like dies because it's rolled onto a railroad track, so it's a little sad. And then like 3 poetic devices that were used were like rhyme scheme. In the first 4 stanzas, I'll say them again. The last words were Tom and Mom, floor and door. So it was kind of AA and BB. And the onomatopoeia was also there. It said rumble, rumble, whistle, roar. That's onomatopoeia because it makes sounds. And there's also imagery used because the whole poem, it was written like you could imagine it in your head exactly how it went. What's the message of this poem? I think it's like, just don't take life as like a joke, kind of, because he was laughing all the way through, but then in the end it was like tragedy, kind of, because it was really sad, and it was like he was just playful, and if he took it seriously more, if he like looked out, he would have died in the end. So don't take life as a joke, take it seriously. And the speaker for me, I think it would probably be just like a bystander, just telling our narrators, telling his story, kind of like a storyteller. Yeah.
Okay. My poem is Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too by Shel Silverstein also. Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Went for a ride in a flying shoe. Hooray, what fun! It's time we flew, said Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Ickle was captain and Pickle was crew, and Tickle drank coffee and Mulligan stew. And higher and higher and higher they flew. Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Over the sun and beyond the blue. Hold on, stay in, I hope we do. Cried Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Never return to the world they knew, and nobody knows what's happened to it. Dear Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too.
This appeals to me because it's like a little story, and they're going like on an adventure, and it's an unknown mystery ending.
The poetic devices used were repetition because of the Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too in each stanza. The imagery because you could like
Imagine them on the flying shoe,
flying on their adventure, and rhyme, and the rhyme varied, but for the first stanza the rhyme scheme was A A B C D A. Yeah. So the message of the poem, I think
it was be careful when you go on an adventure because no one ever knows what happened with them, or like be in contact with others so people know where you are in a way. And the speaker of this poem is probably just I really don't know. Like a storyteller who like who knows the story. Okay, it's like a storyteller who knows the story, who's telling stories to kids so they know to not do the same mistakes as Ickle me, pickle me, and tickle me too.
There's no hairnets.
Spotlight's on you, Shreya.
Okay. So, my poem is Supply Teacher by Alan Albert. Here's the rule for what to do whenever your teacher has the flu, or for some other reason takes to her bed and a different teacher comes instead. When this visiting teacher hangs up her hat, writes the date on the board, does this or that, always remember you must say this: our teacher never does that, miss. When you want to change places or wander about, or feel like getting the guinea pig out, never forget the message is this: our teacher always lets us miss. Then when your teacher returns next day and complains about the paint or clay, remember these words: you just say this, that other teacher told us to miss. So the poet is Alan Alberg, and the title of the poem is Supply Teacher. This poem appeals to me because I feel like we kind of follow the same rules whenever we have a substitute teacher, and so it's kind of like true-ish. And the poetic devices would be imagery, because you can kind of see how the children are like being bad and how they're like doing this or that. And there's also rhyme scheme, because like for the first stanza it's do flew and then bed instead, so that rhymes. And then there's also form, because there's a certain way the poem is formatted. And the message of this poem, I mean, it's not exactly a good message, but it's kind of saying, like, when you have a substitute teacher, do this and you can get away with it. So it's not exactly good, but that's kind of what they're saying. And the speaker of this poem would be like, I would say like a teenager saying to do something to a little kid. So they're influencing the little kid in a bad way, so that, yeah, and that's it.